everybody?
We're good.
You want me to just start?
Well, no, I've already introduced, but this is the, sorry, Justin Fairfax, Lieutenant Governor of Virginia. He would like to talk for about 20 minutes, and then maybe
About 2 hours, I have.
Well, if you want.
It's all the kids.
Answer a few
Get up and
questions,
walk.
and then some photos.
Yeah, I'd be honored to.
What? I heard that. So I turn over the crowd to you. No flashes while he's talking, please.
I get scared easily. No, I don't mind.
And so welcome to Thomas Nelson, our best and brightest of performers.
Right, I love it. First of all, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm so honored to be here with you all today. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here at Thomas Nelson, one of the great institutions that we have in the Commonwealth of Virginia. I was up very early this morning. I was at Newport News Shipyard. I was greeting the shipyard workers at 5:30 this morning. So it was really fantastic, including some folks who had gone to Thomas Nelson. So G. Magruder and others send their best to you. I want to thank you all. We are 6 days away from an important election. I think one of the most important elections we've ever had in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Right now, we're actually, don't pay any attention to the polls, even though I'm up in all of them. So, tell us where the word that we're up, but we really need people to vote. Polls don't vote, people do. And so we've traveled now all around the Commonwealth of Virginia. We've done over 50,000 miles in the car. So we've been in every part of the Commonwealth, the Southwest, South Side, all throughout Hampton Roads, the Valley, Virginia, Central Virginia and Richmond, and of course, Northern Virginia, was actually where my wife and I live. With our 2 young kids. My wife, Dr. Serena Fairfax, is a dentist. We own a family dental practice in Fairfax, Virginia. We have a 7-year-old son named Cameron and a 6-year-old daughter named Karis. We're running a commercial. Have you all seen, has anybody seen the commercial?
Yes. Yeah.
What do they say? What do my kids say in the commercial? They're begging for more peanut butter. Have you all seen that one? All right. Well, make sure you see this ad. And that happens every day in my house. But they're in 2nd grade and 1st grade, and we're very proud of them. But I'm running for Lieutenant Governor of Virginia because I'm incredibly passionate about giving people the same opportunities, the same shot in life that we were given to live the American dream, starting from very, very tough circumstances. I was actually born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and when I was about 6 years old, my parents, who I'm very close to, love them both very dearly, but they got divorced. And what that meant was that my mom, who had 4 kids, and I was the youngest of the 4, had to find a place to start over. And that place for us was with my late maternal grandparents, 2 of the best people I've ever known. They lived in Washington, D.C. My mom came knocking on their door in the mid-1980s with her 4 kids, saying that she needed a place to start over. And they did something really incredible. My grandfather, who was a Howard University graduate, he was a World War II veteran. And when he came back from the war, he worked at the Postal Service for over 45 years. My grandmother also was a Howard graduate. She was a nurse at Freedman's Hospital, now Howard University Hospital. She worked there for over 40 years. And so when my mom said she needed help, took all 5 of us into their home. One of the toughest periods in my family's life. And that single act of love and generosity and courage changed the entire trajectory of our lives. My mom was able to save up enough money working as a pharmacist. Do you all remember People's Drug?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. I'm old, I date myself sometimes, but it's now CVS Pharmacy. She worked at People's as a pharmacist, was able to save up enough money to buy the house right across the street from my grandparents. They lived at number 14, my mom bought number 9. And that's the house where she raised us, it's the house where she still lives today, nearly 30 years later. And just as improbably, with the help of so many people, our church, strangers, neighbors, my mom was able to send all 4 of her children to college and 2 of us to law school, starting from that place. What I say is that for folks to make that really improbable story possible, they gave us something that I like to call spiritual wealth. We didn't have a lot of money, but we had faith. We had hope, we had optimism, we got a high quality education, we had people who embraced us, loved us, and said no matter how dark today may seem, tomorrow can be brighter. And you have to believe that every single day of your life. But you also, very importantly, have to lift other people as you climb. That life is not solely about your success and you making how much money you can make. It's about you repaying that spiritual debt that you have to others. What people did for you, you have to go and do for other people. And so that's really been my passion for public service ever since. I was very young. I'm a graduate of Duke University. where I was a public policy major. Later went on to Columbia for law school in New York. After law school, I clerked for a federal judge in Virginia, in Alexandria. Went to work for a law firm, and then later went back to the government and became a federal prosecutor. So I was an assistant United States attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia in Alexandria. I was in the major crimes and narcotics unit. So I prosecuted violent gang, gun, drug cases. I was also the deputy of the Northern Virginia Human Trafficking Task Force. And I'm very passionate about that issue. And so we started this race about a year and a half ago. We had a three-way primary in June the 13th. And a lot of people when we started said that you know, it's impossible, that you're not going to win, you don't have a shot, and it won't happen. But fortunately, we took that positive, hopeful message around the state, and we ended up winning that primary by 10 percentage points. And we got the most votes in the history of lieutenant governor primary ever in Virginia, over 250,000 votes. And that's in part because we went out, we met people where they were, we heard from them, listened to what their concerns were, their anxieties, their hopes and fears, and responded to them. And so our platform really is about economic security and opportunity. We want everyone to be able to make a livable wage so they can support themselves and their families. And Thomas Nelson is really an important place, and an important place to be here, because one of the things that we have focused on is getting people incredible educational opportunities like the ones that are offered here, so that they can take the higher paying jobs of the 21st century. We focused on, in particular, middle skill jobs. And these are jobs that pay on average $30,000 to $50,000 to start. I know about a lot of the programs that you have in the trades and cybersecurity and in healthcare. Those are the growth industries. Those are the jobs of the future. And as the doctor said, we have the best and the brightest here, ready and training themselves to take those jobs. We want everyone to have a shot at that opportunity. So one of the things we focused on is making community colleges more affordable. And Ralph Northam, who I'm running with, who as you all know is a pediatric neurologist, former Army doctor, and he's the current lieutenant governor. He's from Norfolk, and he and I have worked on a plan called the G3 program, called Get Skilled, Get a Job, and Give Back, which would allow people to come and get a community college education for free or dramatically reduced cost in exchange for giving 1 year of service back to the Commonwealth of Virginia. And that can include taking one of these higher paying jobs in an area where they don't have that skilled labor. It makes the educational opportunity more accessible to more people, and it helps grow our economy by providing the skilled labor that our businesses so desperately need. There are 175,000 of those middle skill jobs open today that are going unfilled because we don't have the skilled labor that we need. So you all are helping to fill that incredible pipeline. We also want to raise the minimum wage in Virginia. It's at $7.25 an hour. We are $1.50 less than West Virginia. And at the federally mandated minimum. We want people to be able to make a livable wage so they can support their families of economic mobility and opportunity. We also want to expand Medicaid here in the Commonwealth of Virginia. If we were to expand Medicaid, we would cover 400,000 more working Virginians with health insurance. And there are 31 other states that have already expanded Medicaid. Only 19 have not. Virginia is one of those 19. So you've had people who fought back against it. We need to give people the security of having health insurance, and that's something that we are focused on. And something else that I care very, very deeply about and I've made a priority in this race is criminal justice reform. We have got to reform many aspects of our broken criminal justice system, and I've seen this from different vantage points, again as a federal prosecutor, but also someone who grew up in Northeast Washington, D.C. in the mid-1980s, the height of the crack cocaine epidemic. When we were the murder capital of the country. I lost a lot of friends to a broken criminal justice system, gang violence, and to other ills. And, many people weren't aware of this when we started, but Virginia is #1 in what's known as the school to prison pipeline, meaning that we refer young people to the criminal justice system at a higher rate than any other state in the United States of America and the District of Columbia. And it's not even close. The national average is about 6 referrals per 1,000 students. Virginia is at 16 per 1,000 students. We are nearly 3 times the national average. And in Hampton Roads in particular, this is an area where we send perhaps the most per capita students to the criminal justice system for school-based infractions. And when I've talked to people about this issue, they will say, well, you know, Virginia is just holding people accountable and we're tough on misbehavior. And what I will say is that if you believe that it's okay where we are, that Virginia should be #1 in this category, you would have to believe that our kids are worse behaved than kids in 49 other states in the District of Columbia. And that's simply not true. There's no evidence to support that. What is worse are our policies and the culture that we've had around discipline. More than half of these referrals are for what's known as disorderly conduct, which can be a whole range of things, but in many cases, it's what 20 years ago might have gotten you sent to the principal's office, or heaven forbid, in my case, to my mom. I'd rather go to the principal than to my mother. But now, the first reaction oftentimes is to get them in front of a school resource officer, get them in front of a judge, a magistrate, a probation officer, and we've got to change that culture. And early on in our primary, I had people tell me, don't take this issue on. You don't know how this is going to play, it won't poll well in different parts of the state. And I said, frankly, I don't care how it polls. And this was before we knew what the outcome would be in that primary. I said, if we can't stand up with moral courage and do the right thing and save our young people and our families, then it doesn't matter. We need people who are going to stand up and speak with moral clarity about these issues. And I actually took a reporter from the Washington Post into the Fairfax County Juvenile Detention Center to highlight this issue, to talk about what was working, what wasn't working, how we divert more kids. If we do have kids in rehabilitation, how we actually rehabilitate them as opposed to just punishing them, giving them skills and training and coping mechanisms. So this is something that I have vowed to focus in on as Lieutenant Governor. And as Lieutenant Governor, I often get the question, what does the Lieutenant Governor of Virginia do? You preside over the Senate of Virginia. You break ties in the case of a tie-breaking vote. We have a relatively closely divided Senate, 21 Republicans, 19 Democrats, so you have an opportunity to break a number of ties. You also sit on a lot of boards and commissions around Virginia that focus on some of the most important issues that we face around economic development, creating jobs, access to higher education, climate change, which is an existential threat. And you all know better than anybody here in Hampton Roads the impact and effects of climate change and sea level rise. I've spent so much time here, and in Norfolk, Portsmouth in particular, you all know if you even get a modest rain, the streets will flood. And I have seen the schools close, you've seen businesses close, and of course the military has understood this to be a significant threat to its operations. Norfolk, the largest naval base in the world, cannot afford the effects that we're seeing from sea level rise. So Lieutenant Governor has a broad portfolio, there's a lot that he can do, but for me the bottom line is I want to make sure that more people get a shot at the American dream, no matter where they start, color of their skin, what their gender is, who they love, what their last name is, where they were born, what zip code they live in, because that's really our story. I would not be here if people hadn't chosen to invest in us, to not give up on us. And by the statistics, if you were just betting solely on the numbers, there is no way that our story plays out the way that it does. But we had a whole bunch of people who said, I don't care about the statistics. I care about people, I care about you all as individuals, I care about you as a family, and we're going to make a pathway forward for you to achieve success in this country. And so that really is my passion in life. I want to, first of all, thank you all so much for coming out here today. I want to thank you for engaging in this process. Again, we are 6 days away from this election. And I can't think of a more important election in Virginia's history because we are at a crossroads in this country. And I don't have to tell you all what's going on in Washington and the kind of leadership that we are seeing or lack thereof. And people are trying to take us down a very dark political road. And the eyes of the world are now on Virginia and this election on November the 7th. They want to know what kind of country we're becoming. They want to know whether or not we're going to rise to the better angels of our nature, if we're going to focus on positive, people-focused policies, or are we going to allow people to tear us apart, to divide us. You've seen some of these ads on TV, these folks, the fear-mongering and the race baiting, and it's just really awful, gutter politics. And we in Virginia have a chance to reject that. We have a chance to say that we're not going to go down that road of tearing each other apart, of dividing one another. What we're going to do is we're going to come together, unite around a series of principles that allow everyone that opportunity to rise. So again, I'm so grateful to each one of you. I'd be honored to earn your vote on November the 7th or earlier. You can early vote up until November the 4th if you have not yet. But I think we have a chance to do something special in this election. And you are the ones who are making it possible, and it really is you who are not only fueling this election, but fueling the growth and the success of the Commonwealth of Virginia. The doctor was not kidding when he said you're the best and the brightest. You are. You're our hope for the future. And I want to make sure that we have the opportunity to support you in every way, to fuel your success, and to help you rise. So God bless you all. Thank you very much.